Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, people are still buying Wii games. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, which includes an opportunity for Mark to use the phrase Hello Kitty Cruisers again. And then on Thursday, we are celebrating our 250-ish episode with listener questions. But in the meantime, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here with you. So happy to be celebrating our 250th-ish episode. A celebration so nice we get to do it for 2 episodes.
That's right. And for those of you keeping track, this is the actual 250th episode.
In like the weird way that we count or have counted in the past episode numbers.
What do you mean?
Well,
this is just the 250th episode that we've put out.
You're right.
Even so, I guess there was a time when we were doing like a series within a series.
Mm-hmm.
We've just folded that into our numbering now. We're like Amazing Spider-Man. Like there's volume 1, there's volume 2, and then at some point you're just like, you know what, 600, it's fine.
One in many ways, we're like Amazing Spider-Man.
Another way that we're like Amazing Spider-Man, if you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, you can.
All you have to do is send us an email with your mailing address.
Right. Send it to Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
And I send it to you. You get to play with it as long as you want. And you send it back. There's no late fees on this thing. And not even a suggested return by date.
We just don't care.
We just don't care at all.
Here's something we do care about. Getting 100 reviews at the Apple Podcast Store.
I thought you said 100 of yous, like you were saying, I would like 100 of yous to review our podcast.
Like I'm a Dick Tracy villain?
Yes.
Just a bad one?
Yeah, just S-face, who adds S's to the end of every word. We're trying to get more reviews on Apple Podcasts, so get over there and review us. Do you listen to us on not Apple Podcasts? Review us there, too.
Yeah, we don't care. We just want reviews.
We do care. We started by saying this is something we do care about.
I mean, we care about the reviews. We don't care where we get them, but Apple Podcasts is the one place I look.
The one place. Before we get into the rest of our business here today, we have a little bit of maybe not a debug, but a clarification. Last week, I mentioned that I was a little bit interested in Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age, but I was unclear as to whether it had any of the quality of life updates that the other Final Fantasy re-releases have had. And it does have a double speed option or a 4x speed option, and both of those were available in the Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age HD remaster for the PlayStation 4. All of those features are still present here, so it does have that.
Yeah, let it never be said that we don't Google things after the fact.
And honestly, I had forgotten to Google it and was just absentmindedly watching a review of Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age and was like, oh, all right, that answered my question.
Even better, you didn't have to do any work.
Man, I love not doing any work. Okay, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I've been playing Box Boy and Box Girl still.
Right. Have you beaten any of the campaigns?
No, so I'm on world 13, I think, of the solo campaign.
Are you up in the spaceship?
I am. Okay. Yeah.
I wrestled for a second, was like, is that a spoiler that you go up in a spaceship? And then I don't care, I guess.
I don't feel like anything in Box Boy can really be a spoiler.
It is weird that they call it a story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not a heavily narrative-driven game.
No.
I forgot there was a narrative until I was up in the spaceship. Then I was like, oh, right. There's asteroids or something attacking the box planet, which is really funny. It's like a diamond on its side. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's cute.
I guess a diamond on its side
would be a square, right?
So it's just a diamond.
Or like a parallelogram?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying Box Boy, Box Girl. I haven't played it in co-op at all yet.
I have also not played it in co-op at all yet, but I did finish the single player Box Boy campaign, which then unlocks the like the tall Box Boy, whose name I forget. It's like Quali. That's not right, but QB. Wait, is that the normal one?
Yeah, I think QB's the normal one.
Yeah. Well, so I unlocked the campaign for the tall one, but I haven't gotten into that yet. But how are you still enjoying it?
I am. Yeah, I have found that it's a game that I enjoy most when I like play through a world or a couple of levels and then just leave it.
Yeah.
And don't come back, because when I tried, like, over the weekend, I was playing and I was on like world 10 or something, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to beat this afternoon. But I was getting frustrated at the puzzles that took me a little bit longer to solve. So because at that point I was in like just beat this game mode instead of enjoy your time with this game mode. And I prefer the latter, especially for something as like kind of like basic but fulfilling as Box Boy.
Yeah, I mean, since Box Boy is so like puzzle heavy, there's really no point in being like just push through it. I do on occasion like ask the game for the hint, and for whatever reason it never tells you, like the hint will never also give you the crown.
Right.
So like you still have to figure that out on your own. And you're like, yeah, no, I know how to get over this pit. Like I could figure that out. But to actually get over there and get up to this like crown, that's always a little bit tougher. I did start completing them without like doing it in the fewest number of boxes, because I was like, I got to a point where I was like, it's becoming too hard for me to. So I just settled for the second least number of boxes you can complete it with, and it's still fun.
I also actually yesterday went back to Steins Gate Elite.
Yes,
which is a visual novel that I had picked up probably at the end of February when it came out, and then just played for a little bit, decided it wasn't really my thing, and then yesterday I was like, oh, I was interested in picking it up again. So I started up. The narrative is really interesting. I've run into a situation that I don't really know how I feel about or how to deal with. And so I guess this is a little bit of like Steins Gate Elite spoilers, because I assume the same things happens in the anime.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a character who, like, I guess you would say like presents as a woman.
Okay.
But was born a man.
Right.
And the main character, who's kind of a jerk and like you're not really supposed to, like he is kind of a dweeb, and you're like, oh, he like sucks a little bit. So he always refers to this character as a dude.
Right.
And there's like a joke made, right, where he's, for the first time you meet him, you meet this character, they work at like a shrine, and the main character is like, they look so beautiful, and everything, and then cut away and it's like, but he's a dude, and just like stuff like that. And
yeah,
so I'm not far enough into the game to know or the narrative to know what comes of it. I just don't know how to feel. Like at this point I can't tell if like the character is being played as a joke, right? And
which character is
being
played
like,
as a joke?
Yeah. If like this character who presents as a woman, who dresses as a woman, is being played as a joke, or if we're supposed to feel like the main character is the jerk. But like the way the game presents it, it's clearly meant to be some sort of punchline. I don't know. I'm not far enough in it to know how it plays out, but it was weird, because it felt like so out of nowhere that I don't really know. I don't know what to do with it at this point.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what to do with this information.
I mean, if that's something that's like in the original anime, like maybe it is just the product of another time and another culture, and is just reflecting something back that like you don't really have any time for, now.
Yeah, I just don't know. I feel like I should like Google it, honestly. I mean, like spoil this character's story for myself, so that way I kind of know where it nets out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah. Well, sounds gross.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It was not making a great impression.
So here's something I don't know what to do with. Last week on Friday, I got like 10 emails from Nintendo. I got one email. Hold on, I wrote them all down. One email thanking me for playing Super Mario Party. Another email thanking me for playing Yoshi's Crafted World. An email thanking me for playing Mario plus Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Another one asking if I was enjoying Dragalia Lost. Another one telling me that The World Ends With You is available on Switch. And another one telling me about DLC for Pokemon Quest.
Okay, so I got the one for Dragalia Lost, but instead of thanking me for playing, they offered me a download for wallpaper for my phone or computer.
Yep. Well, and most of these came with either downloads of like wallpaper or like other dumb little like digital cosmetic rewards.
And I got the ones for The World Ends With You and the DLC for Pokemon Quest. Now, I haven't played Yoshi's Crafted World or Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, so
or Mario Party,
right?
But it's like I got all of those games. I did buy all of those games, but like at different. Like I didn't buy them all at the same time, and
look,
then all
The
the
World
Ends
With You on Switch came out months ago.
Yeah, and Super Mario Party came out in October. Like this is so long ago now.
It was like there was something like clogging up the email pipes.
That's right.
And then that was finally released, and so just all of these emails,
all the emails got out.
That should have been sent months ago, got out.
And so naturally, I'm not gonna download like a wall. If I'm going to download a wallpaper for my computer, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to like wait for Nintendo to offer me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I have not downloaded wallpaper computers since like Tim Burton's Sweeney or
Sweeney Todd?
No, not Sweeney Todd. Sleepy Hollow was coming out.
Yeah.
You know? So you could like go to a movie's website and download the wallpaper,
which is still, if I were going to, that is still what I would do.
Yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't even go to the movie's website. I would just type in Sleepy Hollow Sweeney Todd wallpaper and just download whatever it gave me.
More movies should offer screensavers again.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
We could all use a good screensaver.
I would have The Rise of Skywalker screensaver.
Yeah, is it just Rey flipping over that TIE fighter over and over
again?
That.
I would love that.
So good.
Here's what I will say.
Tell me what you'll
say.
If
you got a bunch of emails, or if you are familiar with Steins Gate Elite and can guide me whether I should like continue or what's going on here, let us know.
Yeah, write into us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Mark, what I suspect is that you're not going to like the way it plays out, and that can either be something that you like makes you just turn it off and say like, well, then I'm done with this piece of art, or you can say like, I can accept that is a thing about this that I don't like and enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah, I suspect
like
you're
Ace
probably
Ventura.
Right. That's one I'm okay walking away from.
Me too. All right, Mark, let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Patrick, I probably don't need to tell you this, but today on May 7th, Puyo Puyo Champions is out on Switch.
I know.
So how does this differ, obviously, other than not having Tetris? What makes this a Champions edition?
Yeah, so it's I believe in Japan it was released as like the tournament edition. It is just Puyo Puyo and has more like competitive head-to-head non-line modes. I have to do more research into what it actually offers. I believe it is a cheap game. Hold on, I want to look it up while we're talking, but I think it's like $10.
Also coming out today is Shakedown Hawaii. And then tomorrow on May 8th is Meow Motors, which I'm putting on blast, no fault of its own. It is not Hello Kitty Cruisers, or as longtime listeners of the show will know it as Hello Kitty Cruisers.
So what, you think that just like Hello Kitty Cruisers, you're also not going to play this game?
Exactly. But I feel like if you're going to get one cat-related kart racer,
oh yeah,
Hello Kitty Cruisers is the one to get.
Definitely get Hello Kitty Cruisers. Hold on, I'm just about to find out what the price of this game is. Mark, I may have failed in this endeavor.
And then on May 10th, Saints Row the Third is released on Switch.
How do you feel about the Saints Row games?
I've never played any of them.
Me neither. Are you interested at all in picking up this one?
Not really.
No, me neither. It's like a big, crazy open world game, right?
Right. I think it's kind of like goofier Grand Theft Auto. Is kind of what I get its appeal to be.
I don't need buy either of that. I don't need Grand Theft Auto. I don't need a goofier Grand Theft Auto. I was right. It is $9.99 for Puyo Puyo Champion, which not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's half the launch price of Puyo Puyo Tetris, but since you're not getting the Tetris portion, I feel like that's a fair price.
I thought Puyo Puyo Tetris was $40 when it came out.
Was it? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, but I bought it because I wanted to play me some Puyo Puyo Tetris. All right, Mark, that's the end of the new releases. Let's get out of this segment. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are going to be discussing the Matrix trilogy.
Now, is this a controversial statement that each, like, the first Matrix is obviously the best, and they just get, like, worse with over the course of the trilogy? So the first one's the best, the second one is worse, and the third is very bad.
And I think it is even safest to say that the best post-Matrix content is not the movies.
Is
right? The
Animatrix
and Enter the Matrix for the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox.
So I remember buying Animatrix, which was a series of, like, shorts, tenuously connected to the like the world of the Matrix.
Right.
But they were each done by, like, a different studio.
Except for the first two were like the first two were either like written by the Wachowskis or also directed by them. And were like kind of history pieces about the world of the Matrix. And that first one especially was really cool. And then the second one like got a little hairy in there, but like, and then the rest of them, were all like stories of people discovering that like the reality wasn't quite right. And one of them introduces the kid that shows up in the second Matrix movie, Reloaded. There we go. Yeah, Revolution's the third one. Revolution, Matrix.
Revolution. Yeah, that sounds right.
Sure. So like they do a pretty good job of being like meaningful supplemental material, or the Animatrix shorts do a pretty good job of being
I actually
meaningful.
think one of them was produced by oh man, now I'm blanking. Who the Final Fantasy company is just Square or Enix?
Yeah, it's Square.
Okay,
yes,
so
was Square.
So
yes.
remember when Square was making, for a short time, they had like an animated studio, I think in Hawaii, that did like
the one that did Spirits Within. Yeah.
I think they also did one of the Animatrix shorts.
Yes, The Final Flight of the Osiris, I believe, was the name of that short. Yeah, and that one also, like, it looked good, but it was not a good.
I mean, kind of like the Spirits Within.
Yes. But yeah, and then did you play the Animatrix or not?
No,
Sorry,
I didn't, because I
entered the Matrix.
Yeah, I didn't own a PlayStation 2 at the time, and by the time I had access to a PlayStation 2, the Matrix was like out of vogue.
Yeah,
because this was
didn't take long because Reloaded and Revolution came out within like 4 or 5 months of each other, and like after Reloaded, people were like, okay, and then after the last one, they were like, all right.
When's the last time that you saw... Oh, sorry. Talk about Enter the Matrix, because I know basically nothing about it.
So Enter the Matrix, you play as two different characters. One is Jada Pinkett Smith's character, and the other is Ghost, who's like her second in command. And they're both cool characters in that game. But like if you didn't play Enter the Matrix, you would feel like they are nothing in Matrix Reloaded. But they felt so important to me, having played through the game. So like that is one of the reasons why I sort of liked Reloaded when it came out. It's because I was already attached to these two characters.
Yeah, I remember thinking Reloaded was pretty cool. I mean, there's that, of course, just like insane sequence towards the end of the movie. I haven't seen it for a long time. Where like, where there's like the twins, they're like jumping all over like the staircases, then it turns into like a chase on the freeway.
Yeah, that's towards the end of that movie. Yeah, that's cool. I also at the time liked that Neo versus like a bunch of Agent Smiths fight. Though when you go back to it, it looks like CG from 2005.
Yeah, no, I really feel like the Matrix movies, especially the second one, because it had so much of that like CG fighting and everything with digital characters.
Yeah.
That if they went back and like remastered them or with today's technology, that movie would play a lot better, because those sequences, even like they were cool, but even at the time, like were kind of
well, I guess.
I mean, you all know.
Yeah, you do all know. We were accompanied today by the Hernandez Orphanage of Music. And I believe it's the first time that we have been accompanied by them. So welcome, Hernandez Orphanage. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
So if you've been following along with the development of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is like the Igavania that was kickstarted and is due for release in like about a month, the Switch version was always kind of a question mark, and the reports, like the hands-on reports at, I think, PAX.
Yeah, that's right.
Were kind of sketchy.
Yeah, not great.
But 505 Games released a trailer that showcased improved graphics for the game overall.
Mm-hmm.
So lighting and textures appear to have been improved, and it seems like some of the character models have been tweaked.
Yeah, updated, or they look a little bit better. And the trailer is presented in kind of a funny way, right? Where like they're showing some of like the gameplay in the original engine, and then like tweets start popping up on it of people like trash talking it, which is not really a style of video that I enjoy. But then it showed Igarashi sitting in a chair and holding a glass of wine. And he goes, "I will prove them wrong," and he casts his glass of wine aside, and then it shows, sort of side-by-side graphic comparisons between the old version and the new version, and the new version looks a lot brighter. It looks a lot wetter. There's just like more light happening, so things are reflecting off of little characters, big characters, whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of the Domino's mea culpa of look, we know we got bad reviews on our pizza, so we changed the recipe, and this is just Iga doing the same thing.
Yeah, totally. This is a game that I am excited for. I really want it to be good.
Yeah,
and we won't have to wait that long to find out. It comes out on June 18th on most platforms, but the Switch will be a week later on June 25th.
1 week, that's all they need. They just need one
more week of polish.
Just to push it up across the finish line.
The Pokemon Company released a new smartphone app called Pokemon Pass, which serves to both notify users about in-store events, and is also a method through which you can obtain in-store rewards.
Yes.
So, for example, between May 11th and June 23rd, users of the app can go into participating Target stores and scan a QR code that gives them access to either a shiny Pikachu if you have Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, or a shiny Eevee if you have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah, so I mean, the Pokemon has been doing this kind of like in-store bonus Pokemon thing for a long time. Where you would have to bring yours. I guess you don't have to bring the system in. You just have to like go and get the code in order to get the special event Pokemon, right?
Wasn't there something with like the DS or the 3DS where you would go into GameStop or maybe it was other like additional stores, but basically there was you brought your device in and
did you maybe like hook it up?
I think
something?
It was through like Street Pass.
You got something from
the from like the kiosk. It was probably the 3DS.
Yeah, well, and then that makes sense that that the Switch has no Street Pass or anything like that. But you can only scan the code if when your location services have to be on, so it has to know that you're physically in a Target to also do it. So it's not like you could take a screen grab and like
share it,
post it online, or email it to someone. So like they've got the thing figured out. It's a little weird that you then also have to use your phone for it.
I 100% am going to do this though, because it'll be the only shiny Pokemon I've ever acquired.
I'm very
excited.
What you have the Eevee version? Or
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a Pikachu already?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you'll just have a better Pikachu.
Exactly. And you can always use that in your life.
Yeah, you can always use a better Pikachu, and if you want to check out the like level and stats and stuff on it, it's all available online.
So we didn't really talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer when it came out. Was it just last week?
I think it came out just last week.
It feels a million years ago.
And I think it came out Tuesday
out.
morning, which is why we didn't talk about it at all.
Oh, gotcha.
Would you like to talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer? Or should we just move on to the other developments that have come since?
I mean, I feel very little for Sonic the Hedgehog as a character.
Yeah.
Personally. I think the movie looks bad, but I didn't expect it to look anything other than bad, and I had no interest in seeing it in the first place.
Yeah, likewise, I had no interest in seeing it in the first place. So I don't feel like personally slighted by the design being bad, but I do think the design of that character is bad.
Yeah, I think the design is bad. I also think that Jim Carrey has reached an age where I just it's not fun to watch him do his Jim Carrey shtick.
Right.
Like, it just feels a little bit sad.
Right. Plus, we all remember Ace Ventura. So
right. Exactly. We're still angry about it. I mean, I wasn't at the time, but now I'm angry about it.
Now I am angry about it. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you're just like, why would you even bother getting the license if you're going to just like change what's appealing about?
Right. Like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I guess the answer is obvious. You get the license because you know it's going to make money. And then, a boardroom full of people are like, well, I think it should look like this. I think it should look like this. And then a team of poor graphic designers do their best to appease everyone. And then the internet gets mad.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing about that is, they obviously got the Sonic the Hedgehog license, not just because they thought the movie would make a ton of money, but because they thought they'd be able to sell a lot of like fast food toys.
Totally.
And a lot of regular toys and a lot of t-shirts and a lot, it's the ancillary markets that are also super enticing with a license like that. That is why it's so surprising to me that it ever got the point that Sonic the Hedgehog as the character in the movie looked so unappealing.
Yeah.
Because who wants to buy a t-shirt with that thing on it?
I mean, no one. And also, we may see other Sonic family characters in the movie, but it's not being advertised that way, which is insanity to me. Like, show me Tails, show me Knuckles, and be like, these characters are in this movie.
Yeah.
And then you can sell me a pint glass with each one of them on them, and I'll love it.
So a few days after the trailer was released, the director of the movie went on Twitter and was like, hey, we heard your feedback. We're going to change the design of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Couple things about that.
Yeah.
One, if they are truly... The movie's supposed to come out in what, November?
Yeah, not long.
Yeah,
this year.
Yeah, this year. So if they are truly starting from square one with the character, I feel so bad for the effects artists who have to go through and like reanimate and re-render all of those scenes.
Yeah.
Because big effects pictures, I'm in the business. I call it a picture. Big effects movies.
That's how you can tell.
Big effects movies, they come in hot. So they were already going to be up to the last minute working on this movie, and now they have to completely redo the character. That sounds like a nightmare.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you think it is possible that they have had many working like model designs of the character, and really all they have to do is just like replug him into, because they, if they're doing like facial map animation from Ben Schwartz's performance as Sonic, like, is it maybe like if they already have a design that they're like, we know which one we're gonna end up going with, is it maybe a little bit easier than we're imagining?
I don't know. I would hate to say that maybe a little bit easier. But
you
just
do Control A to select all.
I know how computer graphics work. No.
I know how computer pictures work.
Patrick's giant cigar just fell out of his mouth.
That's right.
No, and one of his dames went to pick it up.
Thanks, doll.
No, but I think that even if they have an alternate render, it like the physics of it are going to be different, right? Like
probably, yeah.
Like its eyes are going to be different, its mouth is going to be different, and so you would think that you'd have to reanimate that stuff to account for the new design. But again, this is purely just speculation on my part. I don't, but kind of going back to what I was mentioning at the beginning is that I don't know how much of this is really like fan backlash as much as it's like they're worried they're not going to sell t-shirts. Although I guess that
That's
could be one and the
they're
same.
the same thing, really.
But I think like if fans didn't like it, but they thought it was going to be well received by children, do you know what I mean? Like they may
Yeah,
not
sure,
care
sure.
if like 30-year-olds don't like the Sonic the Hedgehog design if they thought that 6-year-olds would love it.
I mean, the design to me reads as bad enough that like I don't know how you don't know that that's bad. That like I wonder if they like put out the trailer and maybe even as because well no I guess we're only like 6 months out. But if they put it out as sort of like a test balloon of sorts to be like, can we get away with this? And then found out that they could not. And then went are going back to or maybe even like using that as fuel. Like, see, I told you no one was going to like.
I know.
This
I do
design.
wonder that. I mean, they must have done a ton of market research beforehand, right?
'Cause
Or like focus
it
groups
does with
or anything?
everything.
Yeah.
And like why, especially with something as like crass and stupid as Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, yeah, you focus group that to until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what got that crazy design in the first place.
The last thing I'll say about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is, guys, let's give James Marsden like a role in a good movie.
Yeah, what happened to him?
No, he's great.
I agree.
And he's a game for anything people throw at him.
Mm-hmm. He was good in that little stretch of 30 Rock that he was on.
Exactly. Like
he's a funny guy.
He seems nice. Like,
He's-
let's get him out of Westworld. Let's get him out of this garbage. This is
I forgot
basically
about
Hop, but with Sonic, which he was also in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let's just. I hope he's happy. Like I'm sure he's getting paid well, but let's just get him some good roles.
I mean, I feel like he is like the quintessential inoffensive guy. He's like Jason Sudeikis, but actually handsome.
Totally.
That like, look, we know this movie is Jim Carrey and Sonic the Hedgehog. There have to be other human characters because there just have to be. May as well be James Marsden.
Let's get him in a Marvel movie. I feel like he's earned it.
Like he can be Cyclops when the X-Men finally come in.
Perfect.
I love it.
Speaking of Sonic, 2018 saw Sega's profits drop a whopping 70% from the previous year to $23 million. In response, Sega has readjusted their priorities going forward to focus on existing IP and on bringing existing games to other regions and platforms.
So, Mark, not to dance on Sega's grave too much. And I know they're not dead, but not to go right to silver linings. But does this mean that Sega, who owns Atlas, might be more inclined to put Atlas games, say Persona 5, on Switch?
I wish. I think like we discussed last week,
Mm-hmm.
Persona, like the core games, will remain a Sony exclusive because seemingly that's what they are.
Right. It just means we're going to get more like Yakuza games.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And I think we're going to see a lot of like what Capcom does, where they're like, here's a title from 2008
Right.
that is now available on Switch.
Here's Sonic the Dark Knight and Sonic Unleashed. Dark Knight or Black Knight? What was the name of that game?
Black Knight, I
Black
think.
Knight?
Although Dark Knight would have been appropriate given like the time
Yeah.
around which it was released. But I could actually totally see something like that where it's like a Sonic Wii collection, but for Switch.
I mean, put Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Heroes on one collection. I'd buy that.
Yeah, no, I was actually talking to somebody today, and they were we were talking about the Switch. They were like, "Oh, are there Sonic games on there?" And I was explaining that Mania existed, and you could get some of the older ones and some of the newer ones, but the in-between ones you can't really get on Switch, and you can't really get. I guess there are a lot of places they're just not on Switch right now. Like they've been collected before.
I guess you're right, but even like in the Genesis collection that's available on Switch.
No, I'm thinking of like the Dreamcast era and like early.
Oh yeah, but I don't think on Switch.
Right,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm saying. So that seems like a huge opportunity.
Yeah, totally. And also, like, I know that there's some sort of like licensing whatever, but like find a way to put Sonic 3 out. In every collection of Genesis games that has come out recently, including the like mini Sega Genesis, none of them include Sonic the Hedgehog 3 because there is some licensing something, possibly having to do with Michael Jackson, but I don't actually know. Just that's not part of the collection, and that's like the best game.
Well, I will say that the Sonic 3, the PC version, has different music.
Interesting.
then so I think there are ways around it if they wanted to.
Sure.
But there might be something else that's holding it up.
Right.
Nintendo's official website appears to have revealed the new games coming to the Nintendo Switch NES Online for May.
Yep, despite the fact that they've made no official announcement about this, it just these are the games that are listed for May.
Donkey Kong Jr., Clue Land, and Versus Excite Bike.
Do any of these do anything for you?
No.
I like Donkey Kong Jr. We talk about that on Thursday, so we'll listen to that episode for more about me talking about Donkey Kong Jr. But Clue Land, man, that's a real stinker. When's the last time you played any of Clue Land?
Oh, man, I don't even know. 20 years?
It's almost impossible to control. Like, you're this, like, Pac-Man-esque character moving across a board, but instead of, like, pushing up to move up and down to move down, you push either left or right or up or down to extend the character's arm.
And you, like, grab onto, like, the peg.
Yeah, and
like,
then
swing
rotate
yourself
on
around.
the peg. And it's so hard to wrap your head around, like, what direction you push when to make your character go which way. The game's been all but impenetrable for me. So I've no love lost for that.
The only one I don't really know very much about, like, is Versus Excite Bike. I'm not sure what makes that different. The fact that it's showing up in the NES Online versus one of the arcade archives makes me think it's not one of like the Versus machine.
I would assume it
version.
Is one of the Versus machines, though.
Yeah, I don't. Again, so I'm not sure, and so that's like the one thing that intrigues me.
Yeah,
and I'm always excited to see what the SP versions,
of course,
are for that month. Is Forza Street coming to Switch? The game is currently available on Windows 10 and will be available on mobile devices soon. But the game also apparently has multiple references to Switch in its source code.
Interesting.
Would just kind of be another example of Microsoft and Nintendo's kind of chummy relationship as of late.
Mm-hmm. Microsoft bringing those games over. I still have Cuphead on my Switch. Still have not beaten it. The game's too hard.
Here's a sentence that doesn't make any sense at all, but it's also something that we learned from the Nintendo investors meeting. During the period of March 2018 to March 2019, Nintendo sold more copies of Mario Kart Wii than they did Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. They sold 100,000 copies of Mario Kart Wii versus 20,000 copies of Mario Kart 8 during the same period.
Okay, so a couple things that are surprising. Surprising thing number 1, people are still buying Wii games. Surprising thing number 2, people are still buying Wii U games. Like, that's sort of surprising in and of itself. 20,000 copies?
Yeah. Especially when the Wii U sold about 13.5 million units.
Yeah, so maybe this is the part where it becomes a little bit less surprising. There are about 13.5 million Wii U's in the wild. There are over 100 million Wii's. So, like, maybe we should expect there to be, like, 10 times as many. But, you know, it's an older game. But also, like, you can use the other logic of, like, yeah, you could buy Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, or you can buy it on Switch, and it's a more feature complete game. It probably, like, costs the same because Nintendo games never go down in price.
And Wii's are super easy to come by on, like, the secondhand market.
Yeah, totally.
And so if you got one of those or inherited one of those or however you got one, you know, like, why not pick up Mario Kart Wii?
Yeah, I guess the part about that's a little strange is, like, that's got to be new copies.
Right, where do you find a new copy?
Where do you find a new copy of Mario Kart Wii? Because you could buy Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U digitally. So, like, that makes sense to me.
And I'm sure if you went into a GameStop, you could buy Mario Kart Wii used for very cheap.
Right.
But also, this is worldwide.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The whole thing is
like
just
5 copies
it's weird.
Here, 5 copies there. You know,
adds
somebody
up to 20,000 somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, speaking of really old games, Capcom is blessing us yet again with a re-release. They're bringing the original Devil May Cry to Switch sometime this summer.
Now, surely, Mark, that means the Devil May Cry that just came out earlier this year?
No.
Whoa, okay, well, then it must mean DMC that came out like 8 years ago.
Also not true.
What?
And you might be saying to yourself, what about the Devil May Cry remasters, the HD remasters that just came out on Xbox One and PS4?
Surely that's what we're talking about.
No. And once again, no. It's just Devil May Cry. A game which, have you played before?
Yeah, but I was when I picked it up, I was expecting to play like a successor to Resident Evil in some capacity, and it is just not that.
No, it's like Bayonetta.
Yeah, it's a stylish action game.
Which, like, cool.
Yeah, like cool. I don't see any reason to buy this on Switch. Do you?
No.
It is-
And this is somebody who is 100% picking up at least Resident Evil 4 for, like, however ungodly amount, like $40 that they're asking for.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they'll keep putting PlayStation 2 games out on this thing until we stop buying them.
Which I'm not going to do.
It's never
I
gonna happen.
refuse.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We really want you to review us on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't already, please do it. If you already have, thank you. If you like this episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. On Twitter, I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. There's also a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. And do check us out on Thursday. We've got a nice long episode where we answer how many of your questions, Mark?
A lot of them.
All of them, I would say. We answer all of your questions. Thank you to everyone who wrote in for that. I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Mark?
I had a blast.
So there you go. There's 2 reviews, 5 stars. Would recommend. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying I did not expect us to have that much to say about The Matrix.
Or the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Neither. Thanks for listening.
Campfire.